Hello and welcome, or as they say in Brazil, Bem-vindos. Today, we're diving into the wonderful wild world of Brazil. It's a country so vast and diverse, it makes the continental United States look like a tidy little postage stamp. We're talking rainforests teeming with life, beaches stretching further than a Kardashian's dating history, and enough coffee to fuel a small moon mission. So, buckle up, grab a caipirinha, and get ready to experience Brazil like never before. All right, let's kick things off with Brazil's capital, Brasília. Brasília is not your typical capital. Built in the 1950s, it has a bold, ambitious design. From above, it looks like a giant concrete airplane. Yes, an airplane. Maybe someone lost a bet, but there you have it. It's got wings, a fuselage, the whole shebang. You can say you live in the wing, which sounds pretty cool. It's a functional city with all the important government buildings. And there's something charming about a city ready to take off. Let's talk names, shall we? Specifically, Brazilian names. Now, if you've ever found yourself struggling to remember someone's name, just be thankful you're not in Brazil, because in Brazil, the name game is a whole different ball game. You see, some of the most popular names in Brazil are Jose, Lucas, Maria, and Ana. Lovely names, all of them, but not exactly unique. Right now, you might be thinking, okay, so the first names are common, but surely the last names are more diverse. Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to introduce you to the Silva family. Imagine, if you will, walking down a street in Brazil. You pass a bakery owned by Maria Silva, bump into a friendly dog walker named Jose Silva, and then order a coffee from a barista, you guessed it, named Lucas Silva. Silva, my friends, is to Brazil what Smith is to the English-speaking world. Ubiquitous. It's everywhere. In fact, it's estimated that around 1 in 20 Brazilians have the last name Silva. So, if you're ever in Brazil and you forget someone's name, just take a wild guess and say Silva. Odds are you'll be right. All right, let's talk about Brazilian cuisine. It's diverse, it's delicious, and sometimes it's downright daring. And when I say daring, I mean like eating a plate of ants daring. That's right, folks, I'm talking about farofa de ica, a traditional indigenous dish from the Amazon region. Now, before you go picturing a plate of fire ants straight out of your nightmares, it's not quite like that. These are special red ants called sova ants, and apparently they're quite the delicacy. They get toasted up with cassava flour, creating a nutty, crunchy topping that's sprinkled over, well, pretty much anything. I know, it sounds like the kind of thing Bear Grylls eats on his show to freak out celebrities, but hey, who are we to judge? Maybe those little ants are the secret to Amazonian longevity, or maybe they just taste like chicken. Either way, if you're ever feeling adventurous in Brazil, maybe give farofa de ica a try. And by adventurous, I mean willing to eat insects. Don't worry, I'll stick to my coccinha, which, thankfully, does not contain any six-legged surprises. Now, everyone knows Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, but have you heard of Marcos Pontes? He's the Neil Armstrong of Brazil. In 2006, Pontes blasted off to the International Space Station. That's right, Brazil has an astronaut. Can you imagine the view? He probably had the best view of the Amazon rainforest. Pontes' journey inspired a new generation of scientists and astronauts. So, you're planning a trip to Brazil, are you? Brazil has more airports than almost any other country in the world. Over 4,000 airports, folks. It's like they paved over every patch of grass. Brazil is a massive country. Sometimes the best way to get around is to take to the skies. You'll never be too far from a runway in Brazil. Right, so we've covered the majestic wildlife, the impressive rivers, and the cities you never knew existed in the heart of the Amazon. But friends, we've barely scratched the surface. The Amazon isn't just a giant rainforest, it's practically a country within a country. 67 isolated indigenous tribes live here, completely cut off from global society. No Facebook, no TikTok, no late-night Amazon orders. While Brazil obsesses over Neymar, these tribes live unchanged for centuries. Contact is strictly prohibited by the Brazilian government, for good reason. So let's appreciate their existence from a distance, yeah? Let's start with literature, shall we? Paulo Coelho, the literary rock star who penned The Alchemist. Then there's Jorge Amado, capturing Bahia's heart and soul. On the field, Ronaldinho and Neymar, soccer legends. And Roberto Carlos, the crooner extraordinaire. From profound authors to legendary athletes, Brazil shines. Now, we can't talk about Brazil without dedicating a whole segment to Rio de Janeiro, the city that's basically a postcard come to life. But before you start picturing yourself sipping caipirinhas on the beach, let's talk about the people who call this breathtaking city home, the cariocas. See, being a carioca is more than just a geographical designation, it's a way of life. Cariocas are known for their laid-back attitude, their love of life, and their uncanny ability to rock a speedo like it's a second skin. Cariocas are fiercely proud of their city and their culture, and they'll defend it with the same fervor they bring to cheering on their beloved Flamengo football team. Right, so you've had your fill of Samba, Feijoada, and accidentally told a dozen people named Silva that you love their work. Time for something a little more vertical. Let me introduce you to Pedra da Gávea, Rio's very own personal Everest. Except, it's not actually Everest, it's a giant granite monolith jutting out of the coast like a particularly stubborn pimple. Now, when I say giant, I mean 842 meters of giant. That's taller than the Burj Khalifa if you laid it on its side, which for the record no one is suggesting, unless you've got a really, really big crane and a complete disregard for international landmarks. But here's the thing, the view from the top, spectacular. Like, makes the Grand Canyon look like a ditch you dug in your backyard spectacular. You can see Christ the Redeemer, Sugarloaf Mountain, and if you squint really hard and ignore all laws of physics, maybe even your house. So, if you're up for a hike that's less stroll in the park and more vertical death march, Pedra da Gávea is waiting. Just maybe pack a parachute, just in case. Okay, let's talk about a sport so inherently Brazilian. It's like they combine their two greatest loves, soccer and the beach. It's called foot volley, and it's exactly what it sounds like, volleyball with your feet. It's incredibly fun to watch, mostly because the people playing are ridiculously talented. Picture this, Copacabana Beach, sun shining, waves crashing, and a group of tanned and toned Brazilians are effortlessly juggling a soccer ball over a net using only their feet, chests and heads. It's mesmerizing. All right, let's talk music. I'm talking, of course, about Roberto Carlos. He's a legend, a national treasure, and the musical equivalent of a warm hug on a rainy day. He's basically the soundtrack to every Brazilian soap opera ever made. So, next time you find yourself wandering the streets of Rio or Sao Paulo, listen closely. You might just hear the dulcet tones of Roberto Carlos wafting through the air. Right, so we've talked about Brazil's beaches, its rainforests, its affinity for turning literally anything into a surprisingly delicious snack. But did you know they've also got brains? I'm talking about Nobel Prize winning brains, specifically the brain of Peter Brian Medawar. Medawar won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1960 for his work in immunology. So next time you're enjoying a caipirinha on Copacabana Beach, take a moment to raise a toast to Peter Brian Medawar. Okay, let's talk Manaus. This isn't just some sleepy little Amazonian village, folks. This is a bustling metropolis, smack dab in the middle of the world's largest rainforest. It's like someone dropped Times Square in the heart of the jungle, but with more howler monkeys. We're talking 2.5 million people, folks. And they're all just casually living their lives surrounded by the Amazon rainforest. Imagine telling your friends, "Sorry, I'm late, a jaguar was blocking traffic." Now, you might be thinking, but John, how does a city that big even exist in the Amazon? And the answer is, well, it takes a special kind of resilience. Or maybe it's just that the Amazon River provides a pretty convenient waterway for transportation and trade. Either way, Manaus is a testament to human ingenuity. Manaus is a city of contradictions, a bustling metropolis in the heart of the rainforest, but right outside the city there's a mind-boggling phenomenon, the meeting of the waters, where the Rio Negro and the Rio Solimões collide. These rivers flow side by side for over 6 miles without mixing. It's like that awkward moment when two groups of friends collide at a party. The Rio Negro is dark and tannin-rich, while the Rio Solimões is sandy-colored and sediment-laden. Scientists say it's due to differences in density, pH levels, and flow rates. If you ever find yourself in Manaus, check out this hydrological marvel. It's a sight you won't soon forget. Right, so you've braved the Amazon, dodged a few piranhas, maybe even made friends with a caiman or two. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. Yes, folks, I'm talking about the Amazon River dolphins, otherwise known as the pink dolphins. These aren't your average dolphins. They range from pale pink to flamingo-esque hues. Scientists think the pink color comes from scar tissue, adding to the Amazon's mystique. These pink dolphins highlight the Amazon's weird and wonderful biodiversity. Cruising down the Amazon in your sweet riverboat, wind in your hair, a caiman side-eyeing you, just another Tuesday in Brazil. Then, disaster strikes. Your fuel light pops on. In Manaus, they keep things interesting with floating gas stations. These marvels bob on the river, ready to quench your boat's thirst. Moor your vessel and a friendly attendant will fill you up. No more fighting for parking spaces. Now, let's say you're a seasoned Amazon adventurer. You've conquered the pink dolphins, refueled your boat at a floating gas station, and you're feeling invincible. Well, my friend, if you're looking for your next challenge, then grab your passport and hold on to your hat because we're heading to Tabatinga. Now, Tabatinga isn't just any city. It's the westernmost city in the Amazonas state, and it's nestled right on the border of not one, not two, but three countries: Brazil, Colombia, and Peru. That's right, folks, it's a tri-border town where you can practically high-five someone in a different country while sipping your morning coffee. Imagine the possibilities. Breakfast in Brazil, lunch in Colombia, and dinner in Peru. That's not just a day trip, it's an international culinary adventure. You could literally eat your way through three countries in 24 hours. Talk about efficient tourism. Of course, juggling three currencies might give you a headache, and good luck explaining that to your credit card company. But hey, who needs money when you've got stories like that to tell, right? Right, so you've had your fill of ants and are now craving a more traditional beach experience. Look no further than Praia do Casino, located in Rio Grande do Sul. It's the world's longest beach, 250 kilometers of uninterrupted coastline. You could stroll for days, stopping for caipirinhas and naps. Perfect for long solitary walks to contemplate life. With that much beach, who needs to swim? Now, we can't talk about Brazil without talking about its national religion, soccer, and what better place to worship at the altar of the beautiful game than the legendary Maracanã Stadium. This place is to soccer what the Vatican is to Catholicism, except with more questionable officiating and significantly fewer pointy hats. Located in Rio, the Maracanã is Brazil's largest stadium, and let me tell you, size does matter when it comes to these things. This behemoth can accommodate over 78,000 screaming fans, all united in their love of the sport and their unwavering belief that the referee is a blind, incompetent fool. Over the years, the Maracanã has witnessed some of the most iconic moments in soccer history, from World Cup finals to legendary goals that still make grown men weep with joy or sorrow, depending on which team they support. So, if you ever find yourself in Rio and have the opportunity to catch a game at the Maracanã, do it. Just be prepared for an experience that will leave you emotionally drained, vocally hoarse, and possibly questioning your sanity. But hey, that's all part of the fun, right? Okay, so you think you know Rio, huh? Beaches, mountains, Christ the Redeemer, blah, blah, blah. But did you know that this party city also has a rather posh past? That's right, folks. Rio de Janeiro was once the capital of a real-life kingdom. From 1815 to 1822, Rio reigned supreme as the beating heart of the United Kingdom of Portugal, Brazil, and the Algarves. But hey, it's still got the beaches, the mountains, and let's not forget the lingering air of faded grandeur. Right, so you've conquered the beaches, braved the favelas, and befriended a pink dolphin. You think you've done it all, haven't you? Well, hold your caipirinhas, folks, because Brazil's got one more trick up its sleeve: Pico da Neblina. This bad boy, nestled deep in the Amazon, is Brazil's highest peak. What Pico da Neblina lacks in sheer height, it makes up for in sheer Amazonness. dense rainforest, unpredictable weather, and enough creepy crawlies to make Indiana Jones reach for his mummy. If you're looking for a hike where you can truly get lost in the clouds, Pico da Neblina is calling your name. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, Brazil's beautiful and all, but is it culturally relevant? And to that, I say, have you been listening to a word I've been saying? Brazil is a UNESCO World Heritage Site gold mine. We're talking 22 sites, people, 22. From the charming colonial streets of Parati to the breathtaking biodiversity of Ilha Grande, Brazil's got more culture than a petri dish at Burning Man. We've got ancient cave paintings, Jesuit missions, historic city centers. Basically enough history to make a textbook writer spontaneously combust. And the best part, these sites are spread out all across the country, so you can easily work a little culture into your itinerary, no matter where your Brazilian adventure takes you. Feeling adventurous, hike through a rainforest to ancient ruins. Feeling lazy, sip a caipirinha while admiring some Baroque architecture. It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book, but instead of choosing between fighting a dragon or stealing treasure, you're choosing between different flavors of Brigadeiros. And frankly, I think we can all agree that's a much better system. Look, I'm going to level with you. Iguacu Falls is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Straddling the border of Brazil and Argentina, it's a waterfall on steroids. 275 individual waterfalls cascading down in a symphony of mist and roar. It's basically Mother Nature's way of saying, yeah, I made that. Prepare to be amazed. Right, so Brazil, it's a big old country, isn't it? We've established that, but have you ever thought about who its neighbors are? I mean, besides Uruguay, because let's be honest, everyone's got that one mate who's always up for anything. Turns out, Brazil borders nearly every single South American country, every single one, except for Chile and Ecuador. It's like they showed up to the continent late and Brazil had already built a fence out of Samba music and Feijoada. Sorry, lads. Brazil probably said, no room at the barbecue. And you know what? Good for Brazil. They've clearly got the right idea. Why be landlocked when you can have a beach that stretches for hundreds of miles? Why share a border with Chile when you can have the Amazon rainforest in your backyard? Honestly, it's enough to make you question the whole concept of borders. But hey, at least it makes for a more interesting map, and it probably makes international relations a bit more lively. Just imagine the annual South American neighbors potluck. You just know Brazil's bringing the caipirinhas. Now, if you thought Brazil's taste in neighbors was impressive, buckle up because it's about to get wild. And I mean that literally. We're talking about biodiversity, folks. And Brazil, well, let's just say they're the reigning heavyweight champions. See, Brazil's home to a hefty chunk of the Amazon rainforest. You know, that little patch of green that's basically the Earth's lungs? Yeah, that one. And with the Amazon comes an absolutely ludicrous amount of plants and animals. We're talking millions of species, folks. Millions. There are monkeys that can fly, fish that can walk, and frogs that are smaller than your fingernail. It's basically a real-life episode of Pokemon, but with less catchy theme music and a higher chance of contracting dengue fever. But hey, who needs theme music when you've got jaguars prowling through the undergrowth and macaws painting the sky with their feathers? It's like Mother Nature decided to throw a massive party, and Brazil drew the short straw for hosting duties. All right, let's talk about rivers. Specifically, the big daddy of them all, the Amazon. This river is absolutely massive. Longer than the Nile, wider than the Mississippi. More fish than a seafood restaurant after a successful fishing season. Some folks might say size doesn't matter. Those people have never kayaked across the Amazon. It's like the Earth's version of a never-ending swimming pool, but with more piranhas. The Amazon is home to some of the most terrifying creatures imaginable. It offers a glimpse into a world that's both beautiful and terrifying. Let's talk about coffee. Not that lukewarm, watery excuse at a gas station. Proper coffee that makes you say, oh, so that's what coffee is supposed to taste like. Brazil is the Beyoncé of coffee. For over 150 years, Brazil has been the heavyweight champion of coffee production, enough to keep New York City from combusting before noon. Chances are Brazil is why you didn't faceplant into your cereal bowl this morning. So next time you're enjoying that aromatic nectar, thank Brazil. Now let's talk about size, specifically the size of Brazil. It's big, folks, like really big. We're talking 8.5 million square kilometers big. To put that in perspective, that's larger than the contiguous United States. The point is, Brazil is absolutely massive. It sprawls across the South American continent like a giant, vibrant tapestry. So yeah, Brazil is big. All right, folks, buckle up because we're about to delve into the wonderful world of wetlands. We're talking about the Pantanal, a sprawling, soggy paradise in Brazil. It's a breathtaking tapestry of flooded grasslands, winding rivers, and lush forests. Capybaras, caimans, and countless bird species call it home. So, ditch the concrete jungle and embrace the soggy splendor of the Pantanal. Right, let's talk about soccer, or as they call it in Brazil, futebol, which I believe translates roughly to the only thing that matters for 5 weeks every 4 years. And look, I get it. I'm British. We invented complaining about referees and losing on penalties, so we understand national obsession. Brazil takes it to another level. This is a country where, if you can't name all 11 starting players of the national team, you're legally obligated to wear a tourist hat at all times. It's in their constitution, probably. The national team winning the World Cup isn't just a point of pride, it's practically woven into the fabric of their being. It's like winning the World Cup gives every Brazilian citizen a free year of not having to pay taxes, which, frankly, seems like a solid deal. And who can blame them? With legends like Pelé, Ronaldo and Neymar, they've got more footballing talent than a toddler's birthday party has crumbs on the floor. They've lifted that golden trophy a record 5 times, which is frankly just showing off at this point. Now, Brazil isn't all samba and soccer, though it's mostly samba and soccer, let's be honest. They've also got a rich literary tradition. Literary heavyweights like Jorge Amado, who wrote about everyday Brazilians with passion. Then there's Paulo Coelho, author of The Alchemist, a book so beloved it should come with a complimentary bookmark. And let's not forget Machado de Assis, a writer so insightful and witty. These names have made Brazilian literature vibrant and engaging. Have you ever wondered how Brazil got its name? Believe it or not, Brazil is named after a tree, the Brazilwood tree, known for its vibrant red dye. Yes, the country that gave us Carnival and caipirinhas is named after a tree. It's mostly known for its color. There's something oddly fitting about Brazil being named after a tree. Brazil is full of life, color, and chaotic beauty. Let's talk about national symbols, those quirky things countries choose to represent their identity. You've got your bald eagles, your maple leaves, your lions, but Brazil! They chose a different path. First, the national flower, the aipe. It's yellow, vibrant, and blooms everywhere. Then, the rufous-bellied thrush, the national bird. And finally, the 2014 World Cup mascot, the 3-banded armadillo. Yes, you heard that right. Not a jaguar, not a macaw, but a 3-banded armadillo. Adorable in its own roly-poly way. You've got to admire Brazil for their unique choices. Now, if you want to be a real stickler for geography, you need to book a one-way ticket to João Pessoa, Brazil. This coastal city is the first place in the Americas to see the sunrise. While the rest of the continent snoozes, João Pessoa is already up. But João Pessoa isn't just about early mornings. It's a vibrant tapestry of history and culture, and it boasts some of the most stunning beaches in Brazil. So you're strolling through Brazil, maybe sipping on a caipirinha, enjoying the samba rhythms, when suddenly you swear you've been transported to Bavaria. Don't worry, you haven't stumbled into some bizarre coconut-scented fever dream. You, my friend, have arrived in Pomerode, Brazil. Nestled in the southern state of Santa Catarina, Pomerode is a town that wears its German heritage on its sleeve, or should I say, Lederhosen, with a population that's over 90% of German descent. Pomerode is like a little slice of Deutschland dropped right into the heart of Brazil. Think traditional German architecture, complete with half-timbered houses and flower boxes overflowing with blooms. Think beer gardens, where you can enjoy a frosty Stein while listening to polka music. Think annual festivals celebrating all things German, from Oktoberfest to Weihnachtsmarkt. It's enough to make you wonder if you accidentally boarded the wrong plane, but trust me, this is Brazil, just with a distinctly German accent. And honestly, it works. It's like that one friend who can somehow pull off wearing socks with sandals. You don't get it, but you kind of admire their commitment to the bit. Right, so picture this. You're in Brazil, land of samba, sunshine, and enough caipirinhas to drown a small rainforest. Instead, you stumble upon a town where the locals are knocking back steins of beer, oompa music is blasting, and the only Portuguese you hear is Onde está o banheiro? Welcome to Pomerode, Brazil, a town so stereotypically German it makes David Hasselhoff look like a member of Menudo. This little slice of Bavaria boasts a population that's 92% German descent, making it the most German town outside of Germany. It's more German than a Rammstein concert, featuring David Hasselhoff doing the chicken dance while wearing lederhosen. Back in the 19th century, a bunch of Germans packed their bags and headed to Brazil in search of a better life. They set up shop in Pomerode and thrived. They built their charming little German town and continued their traditions with gusto. So if you ever find yourself in Brazil craving a taste of Deutschland, head straight to Pomerode. All right, let's say you're feeling adventurous, not just regular adventurous, but the kind that makes Bear Grylls look like a cautious homebody. Then have I got the vacation destination for you. Ilha da Queimada Grande, also known as Snake Island. This island is home to the golden lancehead viper, one of the most venomous vipers on the planet. Imagine an island so densely populated with these vipers that you can barely see the ground. The Brazilian Navy decided that letting tourists frolic amongst vipers wasn't the best idea. So they slapped a big fat "Do Not Enter" sign on the island. Stick to mainland Brazil. There are plenty of beautiful beaches without venomous creatures. Let's talk flags, shall we? Specifically the Brazilian flag, a glorious green and yellow rectangle with a big blue circle in the middle. Most people think, oh, how lovely, those colors really pop. But there's more to this flag, especially those 27 stars. Each star represents a state in Brazil, and they supposedly show the constellations over Rio on November 15th, 1889. That's when Brazil became a republic. But astronomers found the stars didn't match the flag. Still, who needs accuracy when the flag looks this good? Those stars might not tell the whole truth, but they sure make for a beautiful lie. Right, let's talk about feijoada. This, my friends, is Brazil's national dish. A hearty stew, a culinary hug in a bowl, black beans and pork, bringing a symphony of flavor. And of course, fluffy white rice to soak up all that delicious gravy. It's a delicious heart attack on a plate. So grab a spoon, dig in, and experience the culinary soul of Brazil. Now let's move on to something a little sweeter, shall we? Let's talk about Brigadeiro, Brazil's answer to the chocolate truffle, made with just 3 basic ingredients: condensed milk, cocoa powder, and butter. It's incredibly sweet, like something a 5-year-old would make. But it's also incredibly delicious. So go on, give in to your sweet tooth and experience the sugary bliss of Brigadeiro. All right, folks, we've talked about the main course, we've indulged in dessert, and now it's time for the grand finale, the national drink of Brazil. I'm talking about cachaça, the fiery spirit distilled from sugarcane juice. Ferment it, distill it, and boom, you've got yourself a potent potion fueling Brazilian parties for centuries. It's the secret ingredient in Brazil's most famous cocktail, the caipirinha. Grab a bottle of cachaça, mix a caipirinha, and get ready to party. All right, let's talk music, because if there's one thing Brazilians know how to do, it's making music that makes you want to move. First up, we've got Samba. Born from Afro-Brazilian culture, it's got drums, dancing, and more sequence than a Liberace tribute concert. Now, if samba is the life of the party, bossa nova is the cool cat sipping a caipirinha in the corner. It's got a laid-back, jazzy vibe that screams sophistication. So whether you're ready to shake your tail feather or just want to chill out, Brazil's got the musical flavor to satisfy your soul. Buckle up, folks. It's time for the main event, Carnival. Imagine millions of people flooding the streets in a riot of color, music, and joy. Elaborate floats, pulsating samba rhythms, and extravagant costumes. And the best part, everyone's invited. Carnival is a time to let loose and embrace the chaos. Dance with strangers, sing your heart out, and join a conga line. If you're planning a trip to Brazil, make sure it coincides with Carnival. Trust me, you won't regret it. Well, folks, there you have it. A whirlwind tour through the wonders of Brazil, from its gravity-defying architecture and ant-infused cuisine to its infectious music and gloriously chaotic festivals. We've explored the Amazon rainforest, danced on Copacabana Beach, and even learned a thing or two about the country's unusual obsession with the name Jose. Brazil is a land of contrasts, a place where ancient traditions meet modern marvels, and where the rhythm of life is as vibrant as the feathers on a carnival costume. It's a country that will steal your heart, challenge your perceptions, and leave you wanting more. So, what are you waiting for? Book that flight, pack your bags, and get ready to experience the magic of Brazil for yourself. Just promise me you'll try the farofa da Ica for science, and maybe bring back a souvenir for your old pal, John. A man's got to eat, preferably something that doesn't involve insects this time. 8. Logo.